Welcome everyone to this Montana Book Festival event, River Poetics, a conversation with David Axelrod and Noah Davis. My name is China Reavers. I am a volunteer host for the Montana Book Festival, and I want to welcome you, audience, into this virtual space from Bozeman, Montana. The Montana Book Festival acknowledges that we are in the Aboriginal territories of the Salish, Kootenai, Absaroka, and Cheyenne people. The Montana Book Festival strives and will continue to strive to help promote Indigenous voices as one of the ways our organization acknowledges and respects the Aboriginal peoples of Bozeman and across Montana. For those of you zooming in from outside of Bozeman, I encourage you to take a look at the link that our volunteer Carrie has just put up in the chat so you too know whose Aboriginal territories you're currently occupying. Go ahead and let us know where you're zooming from this afternoon. So we're really excited to welcome David Axelrod and Noah Davis to this year's virtual festival. But first I want to take care of a little housekeeping. We'd like to welcome you as attendees to submit your questions to our authors via the Q&A at the bottom of your screen. Feel free to use the chat function to talk amongst yourselves while the event is taking place. On the back end, Kim will be monitoring both the Q&A and the chat for any logistical questions you may have throughout the event. The Montana Book Festival wishes to thank our event sponsors, Arts Missoula, Inc. Realty Group, and Brightside Body Art. With that, I'd like to introduce you to our authors. David Axelrod is the author of 8 previous collections of poetry, most recently The Open Hand, and 2 collections of nonfiction, The Eclipse I Call Father and Troubled Intimacies. He is the director of the Low Residency MFA in Wilderness, Ecology, and Community Programs at Eastern Oregon University. He also edits Basalt, a journal of fine and literary arts, and is a contributing editor for Lynx House Press. He makes his home in Missoula, Montana. Noah Davis grew up in Tipton, Pennsylvania, and writes about the Allegheny Front. His poems and prose have appeared in Best New Poets, Orion Magazine, North American Review, River Teeth Journal, Southwestern, and Chautauqua, among others. Here, and I'll let them get started. Here we are, David and Noah.
Hey.
Hello.
I know.
It's good to see you, David. How are you?
It's good to see you. I'm just fine. And how are things over there on the other side of town?
It looks like a little bit of smoke might be blowing in from the Bitterroot, sadly. It's not too thick yet. It's not too thick yet.
So we had agreed between ourselves that we were going to do a round robin here and ask each other some questions and hopefully do no harm. We'll do our best. I had a great time rereading your book this week, and I just wondered if you might just read something, and maybe we could chat about it a few minutes.
Okay, that would be lovely. Is there a poem in particular that you'd like me to start with?
Well, I wonder, should we go? I don't want to just like follow the contents, right? In the order the book is laid out. I think the dream in which I sin. You know that?
Oh yes, okay. Dream in which
Seems like a provocative opening gambit on your part.
That is provocative. This is one of the poems when I have not yet read out loud in a reading, so wonderful.
Oh man.
Alrighty. Dream in which I sin and weep myself awake. After shooting a duck, which grew feathers perfectly, like trees grew their rings, I found the crumpled body under a hawthorn bush had become a woman with no torn feathers. She told me how trees held fog and rocked me until I fell away from her flesh like lakeweed sliding off legs in the shallows.
Yeah, the reason I asked you to read that one, actually kind of at random, I wasn't really thinking, but it has some interesting qualities. Is that your book is very polyphonic. It's a first book by a young poet, and Noah Davis may or may not plausibly be ever literally present in the speaker's voice in the book, and it also has that other quality about this mythic quality and something greater than the personal in a way is always present throughout these poems. And I just wonder if you'd comment on that. That sense of polyphony and your place in the many voices of this book.
Yeah, I growing up where I did in Central PA, and I think it's cultures around the world have it, but that was the culture that I grew up in. It was very much, you know, your place through stories, and you learn about the landscape through stories, the different families that are in different hollows or are on a different mountain, those that live in the valley, what creatures are moving through those spaces, and we learn about that through stories. And so I also just don't find myself very interesting in a lot of ways and writing from that I perspective, even though there are some poet I poems in this, but I feel like I learn so much more when writing about others than when I'm looking at myself, and maybe that's an issue that I'll need to continue to work with as I grow older, of looking into myself and learning in that way. But I just absorb so much more about from the world around me through those stories and trying to understand the lives of others, not only other humans, but of other beings that we're lucky enough to share this world with. And so I feel like so many of the poems in this book are either third person or they're I poems from some other character that's established in the title. And that's how I wanted to learn the world that whatever this book was creating.
Nice. Yeah.
Well, thank you for that question. And I think for myth, because that word came up, if you would be able to read for us, I'm going to butcher the Linnaean term, but Larix Linale? It's the subalpine larch, or is it the spruce?
It's the larch, absolutely.
Yeah. I would love for you to read that book.
Yeah. So I'll butcher it in my own way, if you don't mind. Larix leale, canker scarred, strands of larch line the path to the edge of scree, blacked by quartz lichen that devours stone grain by grain. And these dwarf trees here in this sliver of a before world, going extinct now in their own time, alone. Oblivion, as always, our goal. And today, too, as my friends pull away, each into immense abstract spaces, specters climbing from one cairn to the next. We pause at tree line in the luster of summer's depleted light, the snow spitting frozen rain and sleet, in our faces, of zero value to anyone. These small, pioneering and dauntless flames of vermilion rise from alpine tundra and grow maybe an inch every decade, if they grow at all, over 500 years. I can't believe you asked me to read that one. But that's a good one to start with, I guess.
Well, I had a list of all the ones that I wanted you to read, and I had little names, and I thought that might be a good little transition. I love that poem. I really like that poem. And so again, because we were talking about mythology, we have here obviously the Linnaean, the species name. Could you talk a little bit about the mythology that is created within those scientific names, but then the mythology that we create as human beings, and maybe have a little bit more heat that we bring to these experiences with these other beings, because a poem holds so much body, which I think maybe people see as an antithesis to maybe those to that scientific name. Does it hold that?
So I have a long-standing quarrel with a science friend. He's a scientist. That's what I should say. And I every time I use a common name for something, I can just, he cringes. I can just see, he just cringes, you know. So, and he says, "Do you mean?" And yeah, that's what I mean. But you know, my preference has a lot to do with some of the values I see in your book. The common name, of which there is a chaos of common names of anything, any common plant, but it's the culmination of at least a regional use, a name and use. It has depth, it has breadth, it has culture, it has relation between the thing and the people who live with it. Whereas Linnaeus, I mean, you know, he gets to impose his order upon us, everyone. And maybe that makes things less confusing. But I was kind of delighted to see that the Audubon Society is now going to start changing the honorifics, especially when honorifics were given in the Linnaean system to racists and you know, general slobs. So I don't know that I've answered your myth question so much, but there's something, I think, in the common name that attaches us to whatever transformations occur at a local level, regional level, and it's something certainly present in your work. I wanted to ask you, in fact, sort of continuing along some of the first question, how much does history and the history, economic history, and the transformations of landscape in Pennsylvania lie at the foundation of your work? And I mean, Pennsylvania is a 17th century political designation. And I presume they logged it first. I grew up in Ohio. They logged Ohio first, and then mined it, and then it was industrialization and de-industrialization, which is where I think of the river takes place, and now rewilding. I just wondered if you would maybe choose a poem that you maybe could dilate on that that very observation about the role of history, sort of cultural European history anyway, in
Yeah.
Pennsylvania and its place in your work.
Well, yeah. Well, I think about which poem I should maybe throw on. Ooh, okay. Yes, maybe this one. I was going to be a history major up until I took um, my 11th grade English class. And then I was like, oh, wow, you could just write about history in some way instead of actually having to, do those academic stuff. And so, but yes, it is definitely in a rewilding part. The book takes place in that rewilding, that post-industry where we're seeing the skeletons of all of that in the mountains. So, what it means for the bear to eat ash. 3 brothers drive to the mountains the first warm day of the year in search of bears asleep. Last meet holding in caves water carved before the water left. Menthols and skull, fries and beer leak through the lines of the hands colored with coal, black as winter rivers, breath like fur untouched by light for months. Oil from the rifle barrel tattoos the green leaves of rhododendron, a prayer for the blood trail they hope to paint. The last sunny day of September, the youngest stepped on a broken bottle with bare feet, white skin flowing around the boulder of his heel. He walks with a limp behind his siblings, 4-month-old Scar screaming beneath the sock. At the blueberry field, the brothers start a fire from winter-killed trees and fry bacon for sandwiches. In August, the middle boy hunted rattlesnakes with cane and bucket, his father paying $5 a rattle. The oldest brother waits for news from Norfolk Southern before deciding whether to enlist. For the past 5 nights, he's dreamed of walking the bottom of the reservoir, finding the short-haired girl who drowned last June, holding her in his arms, the 2 of them floating like dogwood petals over the spillway. Bombarded by the songs of tufted titmice, a bear crawls from his den. Fuzzy-eyed, he makes his way to a seep under a grove of hemlocks where the ground flows and bends. Neck thin and frayed as a grapevine, he drinks away the taste of acorns and smells burnt pig fat. Finding the ring of stones, he sends his tongue into the fire's corpse, ash floating up, covering his face, a mask as delicate as spider webbing. The oldest brother glasses the bear, motions for the middle boy to click off the safety, while the youngest stares into the bottom of the fold where railroad tracks cross the river's cheek. When the middle brother takes the shot, sunlight glints off the scope, the oldest already running the ridge. The bear comes to rest in a patch of crushed raspberry canes. The youngest slides down the talus slope, calling to his brothers. The thorns spinning from the animal's skull are the color of the dresses their mother used to wear.
Right. I see William Penn in there very clearly.
The Sylvan Wood. Yes, the Sylvan Wood is the Sylvan Wood. Yeah. I think what's so wonderful about Pennsylvania is just how much we have after so much has been just absolutely destroyed. It's incredible. As you grow up, you first of all, you just don't understand. You don't know any like the trauma that the land has seen in a lot of ways. And then so whenever I was catching crayfish and turtles in the back of our neighborhood, whenever I was 6 and 7 and 8, really didn't understand what the pipe coming from the factory on the other side meant. But and then you slowly realize things if you're aware, and if you have good people to tell you what has happened before. And so the landscapes where really incredible wildness took place, and where I was able to learn and become the person and writer that I am. The slow realization of how lucky we are to just have that, because there were a lot of men and companies that tried to take it away and did take it away many, many times. And thankfully, through the ebbs and flows of economics, some of it was forgotten. And thankfully, there are state agencies that decided to buy it when it was dirt cheap and no one wanted it. And Pennsylvania, for the East, has an incredible amount of public land because it was ravaged by timber companies and mining companies. And sadly, fracking companies are starting to try to get in on what was left. But yeah, I hope that my poems, and hopefully that poem just shows what can happen even around that, and what is happening around it. So because we're talking about landscapes, I would love for you to read either As the Mountain Dreams It or Just North of the Windy Ridge Fire. And you could even read them both. I'd love it if you read them both.
We'll see how that goes.
Okay, already. Right, yes.
We'll start with one, which I guess in a way shares some DNA with your work. It's about a place, a people, a kind of disastrous relationship. But this is a fire ecology. As the mountain dreams it. There it is, a glimpse of it anyway, rising above the intervening ridge, the dome of Glacier Peak and headwaters of 5 rivers we live alongside of in all our feckless shambles and uproar. Johnny's come lately, ghosts of a language never learned. At dusk, the mountain divides shadows cast by its north-facing cirque from alpenglow lifting along its southwest flank. There it is, the world as the mountain dreams it, going on after as it went on before us, spikes of elk sedge and calf brain poking through duff at the edge of July snowbanks, a white bark pine nut splitting its seed coat centuries later inside a nutcracker's hoard, the fascicles unfurling 5 elegant seed leaves, a little asterisk on a mountain that lost its glacier. If people live inside some spectral order, does it matter how or how long we abide here? Does whatever the mountain dreams end without us if it wakes in a world we set afire? Kind of a rhetorical question at the end. I hope
not what we need to answer right here.
You recognize that. No, it does not end. Only we end. But I suppose that poem is sort of indicative of what I was up to. It might even have been the poem that suddenly organized my thinking about this book when I finally wrote it. But just trying to live through this era of time, and when everything around us is transforming before our very eyes, And but you know, that question about living, or not, it's not a question, it's a statement about living in a spectral order. That is the one in which we imagine ourselves somehow the primary consciousness in the world we share with so many other things. And so I think I say it's indicative of the book as a whole. It's trying to think in a larger frame than even our ridiculous ideas about our own divinity or closeness divinity and hierarchies and that sort of rubbish. These things that unfold like white bark pine, they obviously live in a different time than we do, and same with the Alpine larch. I mean, those are beings that live and think in our world as well, but they do those things in ways vastly different than anything we're accustomed to or even recognize. So that is a poem there that then introduces this whole other section, which is just about fires. But I think, you know, when you and I were talking, you said, you know, you can also not read what I ask you to read. And I like that poem, Just North of the Windy Ridge Fire, but I think I'll read the poem Late August in the Okanagan, because it kind of touches more on people and our behavior. Late August in the Okanagan. In the wake of the fire front, the stench of ashes, skeletal pines. Teenage boys sit inside an idling sedan at the gas station and can't believe their luck. A Colville girl who, though she puts on a hard, brave face, cannot refuse. She stares straight ahead at steers and ponies, seared obscenities lying on their bloated sides, dotting paddocks, and pretends she is merciless. We belong to no other family, and this idea of ourselves inside a fireproof house. Think of us sitting here as fire sweeps through cheatgrass, as bitter brush explodes, the heat turned back by mud walls and tempered glass. Think of this world that caught fire, each of us crazy to open the door and throw ourselves into flame. Well, I think I'm going to ask you to read, she came up finally, the short-haired girl, and we definitely have to talk about the short-haired girl. I don't know if her hair is ever on fire, but she's like a fire in everyone's mind throughout this book. I was very taken by how you know, she dies in the second poem, and yet, you know, when you start reading a book, I don't know how other people read books, but like I forget everything I read in the first 5 or 6 poems, and then it all is like, you know, like I'm on board and I'm there. I go back and I go, oh my God, she was dead in the first poem. My God, how did I miss that? But I wonder if you would read a poem, maybe beginning with it, the short-haired girl drowning. And maybe also the story of the Raven King. And maybe we could just talk about this brother and this sister, and the world of myth, and how it shapes a local life.
Yes, of course, good. Yeah, we start with death. Isn't that where it usually begins? It's something else. Drowning as taught by short-haired girl. I don't remember the moment my head hit the rock because I was still in the moment of entering water. But while the water entered me, I did recognize the sleeve of reservoir, like a fish finning toward the empty space between my gums and lips. And as blood billowed from my head, I thought of the snapping turtles at the base of the dam, how they waited in the cold mud for me to become meat, a lesson they learned from eating all of those who drowned before. I spend so much of my life around water, and I'm really not afraid of drowning, but I'll have drowning dreams, and like I'll think about like when I'm away from water, I'm like, oh no, it's so dangerous. I can't believe these people spend all their time by it. But I am a small stream fisherman, so it's I do like to I have a little bit of that, but so yeah, maybe short haired girl was having a little bit, was a little bit of me. The story of the Raven King as told by short-haired girl's brother. 2 years ago, the Raven King learned our faces when my cousin and I walked the stream. My cousin called him Raven King, and she taught him to say his name back to her. She gave him peanuts or a piece of bread from a sandwich. Last year, the Raven King spoke our names, called to us as if we belonged in the stream. In December, my cousin brought the woman who sells okra at the farmer's market on our walk to meet the Raven King. On Tuesday, I saw my cousin kiss the woman on a log by the stream. The woman tilted toward my cousin like the bubble in a level. Her hand held my cousin's breast while the Raven King perched at the end of the log. Last night in the dark, I went to the bottom of the spruce where the Raven King roosts. I called his name, shone a light into the oily darkness of his feathers, and shot him. I left him to frost in the bed of my truck. The Raven King's eye was sunken like the soft part of a baby's skull. This morning, I brought the Raven King to my cousin, beak braced shut with dried blood, mud red and awkward. We stood on the porch, the Raven King's body balanced on the rail. I told my cousin how the first bullet crippled the Raven King, how bullets 3 and 4 let the air out of his body. Today, I ripped the Raven King's head away from his neck, threw it into the garden, and called her pigs, who'd I've seen gobble squirrels whole. My cousin and I watched the pigs gorge on the Raven King's body. When the pigs crawled under the porch to sleep, my cousin left. I laid on the porch and slept and dreamt I was a rat snake in the darkness beneath the porch, swallowing a chipmunk. When I woke to the stars and no moon, I stumbled into the garden to find the Raven King's head between rows of mustard greens. I pried open the Raven King's beak with a screwdriver, pulled out his tongue, and searched its pink for the tenderness the woman gave my cousin.
Yeah, the timing is all off for that young man.
He's not doing too well, no.
Oh man, so this is what I was getting at, and maybe the first question, just about the mythic dimensions of what happens here. There's a kind of internal logic to these things. I mean, she shares something with this beast. Of course, it's going to die. And the next thing, and then the person who kills it, it's like, my God, what have I done? Oh, well, let me go share it with someone. Terrible. Oh, man. Yeah. She's always, she is like leading people somewhere, all the time, but they don't get there. She's an interesting figure. The way she just owns all the territory, it seems. Would you say anything about that?
So a short-haired girl is one of those people in my community, and who knew where to go pick blackberries, who knew where to go catch fish when the river was really low, or when the river was really high, both two things that are somewhat tough. And she holds a type of myth that is grounded in place, in landscape, in the earth, which is a mythology that makes you kind of scratch your head and ask, is that mythology at all? We do have her being able to talk to animals, where we go off into a place, which is what I've always wanted to do. But she is a person of a place, and I feel like in a time when we're so transient, I'm a transient person. I've left my home valley as of right now. To be a person of a place kind of puts you in a mythical level, because of the knowledge, the deep-seated knowledge, not only of the natural world, but also of your human community, understanding lineages, understanding the skills of certain lineages. I think that is something that we also are losing in a sort of transient moment. And but transitioning now to the brother, people do really terrible, dumb things in anger, in a prejudice that has shaped them of their place and the people that they are around. And I think that what we don't think of is a moment of regret. Often that comes after that anger. And I am not an angry person, but I have been angry in moments. And I think that I have done some dumb things.
What I like about her reaction is she doesn't react. She just goes out and looks. The hogs come in, and it's like, oh my God. But she just watches and doesn't
understands. I think that she's also one of those people that one of those characters that understands what rages of passion. She's seen it play out.
I love that line, though. There's that image tilted toward her like a bubble in a level. Oh, yeah, it's a nice image. Yeah.
Well, thank you. Well, I got a poem I would love for you, because we are talking about mythologies, but we also, I feel like when we speak of mythologies, we have this elevated idea and this preciousness also that comes with mythologies. But I would love if you would read The Northern Sorrow Monkey.
I got an email this week from a friend that said she just read that poem. She said, I immediately went and Googled it.
I was looking for the field guide.
Good. I'm glad to hear you say that. This begins with a description from the field guide to North American monkeys. And there are several. There's the Peterson guide is the one I was working from. Simia dolor borealis, there's the Linnaeus again. Rare across its range, prefers highland forests near open water, matrilineal, not gregarious, forms loose-knit groups only when young are present, otherwise solitary, retreats to isolated refuges and mature trees, browses, mistletoe, club moss, horsetail, lungwort, where available, Hemlock and red cedar provide important winter forage. Individuals observed taking salamanders and tree frogs grieve 1949. Typically silent, though when mating, copulatory vocalizations sound imitative of and sometimes are confused with the melancholy yodels and harsh howls of others with whom it shares its range. We heard it from the beach below, and moments later, another answered from crummelts high on the moonlit ridge. The moon path led away down the glassy lake to falls. We planned a portage days later. Hemlocks robed in witches' beards stood around us, attentive as we were, startled awake and afraid of those daunted cries. And we remembered a song, a round first learned in kindergarten. No, not now, not for you, probably never, for the sorrow monkey too, brooding in its dwindled sliver of life, crowded out by refugees from a world on fire. Nothing else is possible beyond the already known. There will be no adventuring forth, only hammering back into the familiar hole. No achievement, no infinite theorem or 100th monkey, limits only. The falls are the border never dared, and the range of its roar cascading over cliffs, the moonlit dome of mist, rapids churning below, all remind how the farther a sorrow monkey roves, the louder the overawing rebuke.
So. Can you, I mean, it sounds like a silly sophomoric question, but the book is populated by these tangible creatures and beings that we share this world with. Can you talk about why we talked about the northern sorrow monkey? Why bring them into the midst?
Well, it's you might be disappointed by this. It started as a joke.
That's really what I wanted.
So we were kayaking in northern British Columbia, and there was we met a couple, German electrical engineer who wrote the algorithm for Skype. We'll talk about having an influence, geez. But he was an odd dude. He'd kept a spreadsheet of all the times he had slept under the stars and throughout his life. And he had lived more than a third of his life outdoors under the stars at night, which I thought was a pretty remarkable thing. But one night there was this blood-curdling howl right in the middle of our camp. And apparently both our beloveds said, "Are you going to go out and see what that is?" We both said, if it's going to kill us, it'll kill us here. I'm not going out there. And so we did it. And the next morning I got up and we were lighting a fire. And he said, "Did you hear something last night?" And I started laughing. I said, "Yeah." He said, "What do you think it was?" And I said, "I'm really not sure, but it sounded like the northern sorrow monkey." And that's how it started. And yeah, I think as we paddled that day, that poem pretty much took the form it's in now. So
I like that poem a lot. I like that poem.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I think it shows, yeah, so much. Well, I see we're at like 5:44.
Why don't you read a poem, and then let's go to questions from the audience. What do you say?
Well, I would like you, I will read a poem, but I would also like you to read one more poem.
Okay.
If that's if that's too much for me to ask.
No.
Do you have a poem in mind for me?
Well, oh man, yeah. Well, yeah. Oh God. Oh, well, yeah. Short-haired girl stops going to church. That's
Is it bad that I love to end the all readings on this one, even though it ends the book?
do you really? All right, well, there might be an opportunity. I might suggest one more poem later, but you go ahead.
Alrighty. This poem has an epigraph from Judges chapter 14, verses 8 and 9. Samson turned aside to look at the lion's carcass, and in it he saw a swarm of bees and some honey. He scooped out the honey with his hands and ate as he went along. Short-haired girl stops going to church. My donkey, Dame's Rocket, found a goat's skull in the back pasture. She carried it to me in her mouth, and I nailed the bone above the door of her shed. She admired the skull like I admire antlers. Bees waxed honeycomb in the eye sockets, and amber bulged over the nose where the lower jaw used to be. Honey dripped from the skull onto Dame's Rocket. She licked the sweet from her muzzle. The bee's hum settled in the darkest hair lining her shoulders, and I felt the whir in my legs when I rode her around the yard. 2 months ago, I woke before the bees and sat in front of Dame's Rocket's shed. I waited there for her to stand below the bone hive. Dozens of bee bodies, barely large enough to catch the light, slanted around her head, golden buzzing like the hymns at church that made me cry. I stood and reached for the bone hive the same way Thomas must have reached into his Savior's ribbed hive. The honey was bee warm on my fingers, and I tasted the sweetness forever and ever. Amen.
Oh man, I sure like her. I sure do like her.
She's pretty darn cool. Yeah, she's incredible. A lamp left burning.
Oh geez, that one. Okay, let me just see. Where is that? That's got to be in here. That's got to be in this book. That's one that came and went many times from the manuscript.
Oh.
There it is. A lamp left burning. An ungainly, flightless bird, I wander stumpland, poking at logging debris, skidders and yarders left on the forest floor, downy woodpeckers having loud sex just above my head in a Douglas fir, Sawyer spared, perhaps for this reason, her stiff tail jittering before she darts away, he pursuing. My children, nimble as wrens, almost fly as they dance around slash piles that smoldered all winter under snow, burning circles full of gray morels. I unfold my hawkbill, always this readiness after violence recedes, when, without warrant, the mind resumes its reveries, and kneel beside my sons, whose laughter makes me feel like morning, gleaming through thickets of young pines. Yeah. I would like just to live in a world where we have a little bit of opportunity to have a reverie again. This is we've been in crisis for a long time now, and it'd be nice to have the freedom and luxury to have a dream now and then.
Yes, I think that's very important. Wendell Berry said once, he was like, don't forget to be happy sometimes for no reason at all, like an old dog sleeping.
Sure. I remember that.
That's
Sure.
pretty darn good.
Uh,
I want that
yeah.
world.
Yeah. So I've ever, the writer John Berger once said that a dog's life is waiting. It's always waiting, guys. So, but Wendleberry obviously disagrees. It's
Yeah.
always waiting to feel like a dog. So hey, I wonder if there are any questions for us. If there are, that's great. We will obfuscate as much as possible.
So we have a question from the Montana Book Festival from our volunteer, Kim Berry. And they just wanted to know a bit more what your writing processes are like, what your routines are like when you're creating.
You go first.
Oh, I'll go first. Okay, yeah, I'll go first. I like to write in the morning or late in the evening, or whenever I'm working on dinner. And that's when I usually do things for the poem. But I like to read is usually how I get the urge to write. And I think I've said this before, but it's so true. I just feel like I'm running on empty when I'm not reading and I can't write. I need the beauty of others to help get me going on different tangents to spark something. So yeah, I need to be reading.
Yeah, I endorse that 100%. That's absolutely true. And I imagine it has something to do with, I was asked a question the other night. I gave a little reading at the university to a group that were socially distanced and well masked, and it was a very hygienic place. But a question about originality, which is like the worst question in the world in some ways, because I mean, who's the person who made this claim that make it new? It was Pound, who's a classicist. You know, I mean, come on, man. But it make it new. And then he wrote and then he would write in all these received forms and translate into them. So I wasn't too worried about that. But what you say reminds me that anything we make is a kind of recombinant DNA of whatever is in the culture, whatever is in the literary culture, but the art culture largely speaking, and just, you know, the ordinary going on about our lives. And that is, I think, the thing that is really important for me, is just, as I said, being able to have a reverie in which I am afloat in the things of this world and how they constellate or relate to me or I to them. When those attunements are right, you know, you can just write and write and write because the world is speaking to you. And I like that. But in terms of just process, I mean, yeah, any time of the day, it has to be done. And one doesn't have any obligations, you know. One goes and jots it down because the thinnest ink is strongest than the strongest memory, and you know, so you just have to keep after it all the time.
That's wonderful. Yeah. We don't have any additional questions.
Good.
So
Good. Then we have a couple minutes.
yeah.
Why don't we sign off with the first memory of water?
All righty.
It's a very short poem, but
It's a very short poem. It will take no time at all.
yeah.
Well, then that will give me time to wrap things up after.
That's
But yeah,
right.
perfect. Thank you.
First memory of water. Newt coiled round newt, while catfish spawned and tadpoles like oil laid between drowned leaves.
That's a very hopeful place to end.
Well,
Thank you
I
all
would
for your
like to-
kindness.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
A huge thank you to David Axelrod and Noah Davis and for sharing those beautiful poems with us. And thank you to everyone watching and participating. You've been a great audience. Thank you also to our event sponsors, Arts Missoula, Inc. Realty Group, and Brightside Body Art. Just a reminder, you can purchase books by these authors and many other MBF authors at Fact and Fiction Books. Be sure to enter the code MBF when you check out on their website, factandfictionbooks.com, or you can vocally say the code MBF if you're buying books in store. I also urge you to purchase Montana Book Festival merchandise at montanabookfestival.com. There you can also donate so that we can continue our programming after the festival this year. So thank you, everyone. Thank you again, Noah and David. Have a wonderful evening.
Thanks, David.
We'll do it. See you all later. Take care, everybody. Thank you.
Everybody, thank you.